Hello. Welcome to a presentation of some of my creative work. I hope that you'll appreciate this walkthrough of some of the interfaces that I've been involved with creating over the last 7 or 8 years. All right, let's go ahead and kick it off. So to start with, I am going to talk a little bit more about my project InteractML. InteractML was a interface slash software slash plugin that I created to really encapsulate a part of my creative process where I was using interactive machine learning inside Unity. And that was not easy. I had to actually write like multiple pieces of software to pipe a machine learning system into Unity and hook it up to the audio platform we were using to create music, which was, there were two, it was Ableton Live and Maximus P. And building all that bridge software and then also getting the, design of this 3D world inside Unity to all play nice with the sensors we had on stage was a real challenge. And I really loved it. What I made was magical, but I could never release what we had done, which was a really cool interactive musical world. And I wanted to give people the ability to play with this technology and still be able to release actual games. So I made InteractML with Rebecca Feetbrink. InteractML is started off as like a node-based kind of system. And my desire for that was to create a system that let people use interactive machine learning without knowing how to code. And I'd really appreciated it when I'd worked with Rebecca that I hadn't needed to know how to code to actually use machine learning. And I wanted to maintain that. So we built this really simple to use design system for our developers to integrate into Unity. And I was supervising so many people. This was a whole team of people that I managed to make this software. It was a lot of work. I did the design and the creative direction and the vision and thought through how the user experience worked. But I worked with so many grad students and I gave them this as kind of like a starting place to have like some icons, some fonts, some decent colors. I made a logo for them. I'm like, here are the nodes I want. Here's how I want them to interact. And together we sort of brought it into Unity. So if you look at the inspector over here, we've made a component and there's this graph and that opens up this. So this graph essentially lets people patch up a machine learning environment. You can get to all the nodes just by right-clicking. It's really simple and easy to use, and I'm really happy with that. This is where we got it to before I decided to shift the project into Unreal. There's a lot of reasons for that. The biggest was I'm very concerned about the direction Unity is going. And when we ran out of our first lot of funding, Unreal had the mega grant system, and I thought, if I'm building a node-based system, it just makes sense to be in Unreal because they have a node-based coding environment that's built into the engine. A lot of artists use, so I moved them out to Mohammed, I guess. So here is what it looks like inside Unreal. You can see I've made some nice icons. You can get to all these by right-clicking in the interface. It's really clean. And it feels like integrated directly into Unreal. It doesn't feel like it's this external thing we've bolted on. It feels completely in sync with the the Unreal world. One of the things I wanted to make sure is that it was easy to edit and control your data, and that our users and our developers understood how to get access to their data, how to delete their data, how to record different versions of their data, and give them the ability to move that between different games they created. So there's a lot of thought being put into how the nodes work with the data. So I've made the data nodes separated from the training and the machine learning node, which is not the case with Unity. And I really was passionately wanted to do that in Unity, but it was too expensive, and I managed to get it into Unreal, which I'm really happy about. This is what the graph system looks like inside Unreal. The nodes are all that I had a hand in are all purple. I worked with a great developer called Sam Swain on this version, and I feel like I'm very proud of this. I feel like we knocked it out of the park. It's a really easy to use system, and I think I already know several VR studios that are using it for VR, and I'm really optimistic that we get to keep working on it. There's a project with stroke rehabilitation that I'm excited about. because I have an upper limb impairment. I've got a lot of issues in my spine, and I made this whole cattywampus system originally for myself back when I was doing creative work, and it's so nice. I want it to benefit other people. So that is Interactimel. Next project I'm going to show is Yamu. This is a game I took on that was designed by Catherine Isbester at the Game Innovation Lab at NYU. I was interested in taking this on because I'm interested in social play, and Catherine didn't have anyone to help her creative director design the project. So I jumped in, and she wanted to use the sensors in the iPhone as a kind of starting place. She thought the iPhone technology was great, and we integrated that into a screen-based interface. And it was really cool. It was a really fun project. So I had to design the screens for the phone and for the TV, and kind of think through how that interaction would work. I wasn't the only interaction designer. I was more of the user experience designer, not the user experience designer, the UI designer on the project. I had to really think through how the UI was going to be consistent and matched and worked. When I came into the project, Catherine already knew she wanted this interaction, so I had a bit of an easier chore there. But here's what you can kind of see the phone interface looked like. I had so much fun designing this. It was real playful. You kind of pick a team, you enter a code, you dance. It's a b-boy dancing style game. So 2 teams of dancers compete. They try and dance in sync, and how creative and in sync their dance performances are as their total score. This is what TV interface looked like. You can kind of get a sense of it here. Whoops. This is the second one. It was really fun. It was a good project. All right, so the next one was Crystalon. Crystalon is a game I made with Ben Johnson. It was really, this is a tale of woe and heartbreak. We originally got commissioned by Sony and PlayStation to work on this project as part of a kind of prototyping exercise that they did with indie developers. They took us to Indiecade. We were in the booth. They gave us like really nice offer for promotion and support. We ended up turning down their deal because we ended up just thinking it'd be better, points wise, just do it ourselves and just take some promotion. So we ended up doing that. We worked on this game for 2 years pretty mercilessly. I'm very proud of where it got to. And right before we released, Sony pulled the Vita licenses from all their developers and decided to stop development for the Vita. That was a heartbreak. They shut down the indie platform, and I have nothing but heartbreak here. We always thought we would make it for the iOS, but we really lost all of our drive after this happened because we were right about to release when it happened. So you can see the game here. There's a earlier this video here that I've linked is an earlier version. We didn't know we were going to lose access to our own game. It happened rather suddenly, so this is what we got. I have another video, but it's just a screen recording. It's not as good. So there's that one. Okay, cool. This is what the game looked like. It was really fun. It was a match 3 puzzle game. It was really challenging. Players loved it. We had really good feedback on it. I think would have done quite well. We did it 2014, 15, and 16, I think. So we started late 2014. I think it got pulled in 16. Something like that. Memory. It's been a while. So this is kind of, what it looked like, the tutorial screens, the levels. It was really fun to play. It was a touchscreen game. This is a game I worked on, a piece of software I made with Ben again. This was for client. We had a game studio called Dozen Eyes. We made a lot of software. We made a lot of interfaces, some that had physical components, some that didn't. But this is one of the projects I'm most proud of because what it was. This was a game that helped political refugees adjust to life in the United States, and we made it with the Center of Applied Linguistics under the Obama administration. Trump deleted it from the App Store. Broke my heart. I never thought it would happen. I never thought this would get taken away so quickly after we put it out, but we released it. A couple months later, it was like it had never happened. And the entire team we'd worked with in the White House were no longer had jobs. So this is what it looked like. We did a paper prototype to try and understand The Center of Applied Linguistics' learning package that they gave refugees, turns out immigrating to the US sucks. It's really, really hard. And the first prototype we made for them, we gamified the actual materials as they were. And it was so disheartening. They made us lighten it up. And I was like, oh no, this is really hard. But they really wanted to instill in refugees that learning English was really important. And they wanted to help teach some basic laws that a lot of immigrants were getting wrong, that was landing them in legal hot jail, and they didn't even know they were breaking the law. So there was a lot of like that kind of education. The other thing that we had to do was deal with the fact that people couldn't speak English, so it's almost all icons. There's very little text. They kind of had to learn as they go. So that's why none of these icons have any words behind them, because we were not guaranteed that people seeing this would have the ability to read it. So this is kind of what the system looks like. There were some decision cards that got brought into the game at the last minute, and people wanted to, like, at Cal, they really wanted to put in some of the actual questions from the kind of quizzes they'd give their refugees. So we brought those in. It was a fun game. It was cool. All right, so this is the final thing I'm going to show. This is a very short little project. It was a prototyping exercise that I did for AT&T. I was the academic lead on this. I worked with a bunch of grad students and undergrads, and together we put together some prototypes and solutions to help AT&T think about how they could stop people from dying while texting in New York City. Turns out like 1,200 people a year die while on their phones by walking into traffic in New York, which, if you've been to New York, not so surprising, but it surprised me still when I saw this statistic. So we came up with these two interfaces that I like a lot. There are more, but it's very obvious, that I had a hand in these. They're gesture-based, which, InteractML is, and all the stuff that I've worked on with Rebecca over the years has been. And my idea was to be able to send text messages via gesture. And I thought that would really bring down the cognitive load and be quite quick. So like if somebody starts texting how you are, you can send a check and you can associate that gesture with a phrase in your phone, and it gets really easy to reply. You don't have to read. It really is a lower cognitive overhead. The other thing that I really thought would be fun to do is associate those gestures with emojis. I thought that would be cool. And a final thing that we came up with was a wearable, and I really thought this would be cool. There was an interface that was going to let people who were using AT&T services customize their wearable and design it within constraints themselves, pick out color and shape. And the idea is that you would be able to send text messages with color, as the wearable would have LEDs that would light up, and vibration and haptics. And if you remember what I showed you earlier, I've got a love of colored LEDs and haptics. So I really thought it would be cool to associate these like non-verbal ways of communicating with our cell phone, which everything we do right now so verbal or visual. What about tactile and sensory based? I thought that'd be really fun. So that's it. Those are some interfaces I've made in the last years. I didn't include any of my big advertising stuff. If you're interested in seeing that, let me know. But I feel like we need a time machine to understand those interfaces. It's been so long. Okay, that is me. Back. Thanks for watching this. Thanks for checking out my work and giving it so much of your time and attention. And if you have any questions, I'm easy to find. Thank you so much.